Jake Paul's fights are 100% scripted. When Mike Tyson fought Jake Paul, he hit him with a strong right hand. Jake Paul then made this face to signal to Mike to calm down. He also made the same face when he fought Tyron Woodley. It literally looks like he's sending a signal.
Jake Paul and Mike Tyson allegedly just got sued for rigging their fight on Netflix. Viewers reported buffering, crashes, and low-quality feeds during key moments of the fight. For fans, the technical issues were bad enough, but the fallout was worse. Lawsuits accusing Netflix of failing to meet their promises began to pile up, and suddenly the fight was no longer just about what happened in the ring. And then there was the fight itself. As people dissected every punch, new questions emerged. Why did Tyson seem to hold back? Was it strategy, exhaustion, or something more calculated? Critics pointed to the stark difference between Tyson's training footage and his in-ring performance. Social media exploded with clips, debates, and theories, with some fans claiming the fight was staged to protect both fighters' reputations.
Day 4, it was okay, but you don't know what you got in store, baby. You got to face the God of War. And get ready, baby. Fire in the house.
Jake Paul wasn't about to let those rumors slide. He came out swinging not in the ring, but against the critics. He claimed the fight's pace and his boxing skills made it difficult for Tyson to perform at his peak. Meanwhile, Tyson himself, nearly 60 years old, earned mixed reactions. Some applauded him for competing at all, while others questioned his motives, suspecting the fight was more about the payday than the punches.
I think Mike's too old for this fight. Tell him what you think about that.
If you think I'm too old for this fight, you need to come tell me in my face.
Whoa.
You won't. You won't.
Whoa. I don't think they're going to do that, Mike.
Adding fuel to the fire, Jake Paul's manager, Nakisa Badarian, jumped in to defend the event's legitimacy. He rejected the rigging claims outright, calling them baseless and dismissing fans' so-called evidence as nothing more than overanalyzed speculation. But the skepticism didn't fade. Clips of Tyson's subdued punches and the fight's unusual pacing continued to circulate, keeping the controversy alive. This wasn't just a fight, it was a cultural event that blurred the lines between sport and spectacle. Fans expected answers, but instead they got more questions. What was real? What wasn't? And in the end, does it even matter? Whether you loved it, hated it, or simply couldn't look away, one thing is certain. This fight left everyone talking. More than 100 million people streamed the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight simultaneously. Let that sink in. That's not just a milestone, it's history in the making for online streaming. Netflix, already a giant in entertainment, had taken a bold step into live sports, and for a moment, it seemed like a genius move, until it wasn't.
He told this young lady that legacy is nothing and that he doesn't care about legacy, which is an indication that he sold his soul. We know Netflix sat him down. Hey, we just gotta make this look good. Hey, Mike, this is the new day and age. Think about the bag, think about the money. Let's not talk about the buffering fight that we had with Netflix last night, with all due respect. But I think Mike realized that signing a contract to do this and to script this fight was a big mistake. And now he ultimately regrets it. This shifts the landscape of boxing.
The event was hyped to be flawless. Netflix marketed it aggressively, knowing full well how massive the audience would be. This wasn't a surprise wave of traffic, it was a tidal wave they invited. Yet when the time came, the cracks in the infrastructure were exposed. Millions paid to see the fight in its entirety, but many didn't get what they paid for. Now, Netflix faces a lawsuit that could redefine how streaming companies handle live events. A class action lawsuit has accused the platform of breach of contract and deceptive practices, claiming Netflix failed to deliver on its promises. The lawsuit is gaining traction because it's not just about a bad experience, it's about accountability. Fans feel that a company as big as Netflix had the resources to prepare better, but didn't. This could be a turning point for Netflix and the industry. Live streaming is risky, especially when it involves an event of this scale. But for Netflix, this wasn't just a technical glitch, it was a reputational hit. People trusted them to deliver, and when they didn't, the backlash was swift and unforgiving. With legal proceedings now underway, the fight's legacy is no longer just about the punches thrown in the ring, but also the fallout outside of it. Fans want refunds, critics want answers, and Netflix, they're left scrambling to repair the damage caused by what should have been their crowning achievement.
Tyson is not in his 40s. He's not even in his early 50s, he's in his late 50s. And before I say whether I think this fight was scripted, even just a little bit or not, I just want to see it. Do you think Mike Tyson would lose a fight to earn some more money? He's already getting $20 million for the fight. Does he want to do this for another $5 million or 20 million? Or how much more money would he need to get paid to actually lose the fight? Like, what's the big difference between 20 million and 30 million or 40 million when you're already Mike Tyson, who's a multi-millionaire who doesn't need any money right now whatsoever? Now, as much as we might have wanted Mike Tyson to show a little bit of his old self with that movement, getting his feet in and knocking out Jake Paul, the fact of the matter is his legs were gone.
As if the technical failures weren't enough, the fight itself quickly became a topic of heated debate. Fans started noticing something strange. In the days following the event, clips began circulating online. These clips seemed to show Mike Tyson holding back during key moments in the fight. Was it strategy, or was there something more? Here's where it gets interesting. People compared Tyson's training footage with his performance in the ring. The differences were hard to ignore. In the gym, Tyson looked sharp, fast, and aggressive. But during the fight, some felt his movements were slower, his punches less forceful. This sparked a flood of accusations. It didn't help that the fight's pacing raised eyebrows. Tyson threw fewer than 100 punches in 8 rounds, most of them in the first 2 rounds. For a fighter known for his relentless aggression, this felt unusual. Fans questioned whether Tyson's heart was fully in the fight or if there were other reasons behind his subdued performance. Meanwhile, Jake Paul's role in the controversy added another layer. Some defended him, arguing that his strategy neutralized Tyson's offense. Others claimed the fight was designed to elevate Jake's reputation while allowing Tyson to gracefully bow out of the sport without tarnishing his legacy.
I'm sorry, yeah, but talk about bullshit. This fight, you're telling me that the one and only, one of the best boxers of all time, only threw 97 punches, and you're telling me this gimp threw 278? But not only that, you're going to tell me as well that Tyson only landed 18. Percentage of 18%. Do you know what? Yeah, if it was not even fair, if it was a fight that was actually legit, I would give this brother props. But it so wasn't. It so wasn't. Mike Tyson did not even open himself up at all. That was the most obvious paid off rigged piece of shit going. Now, I'm not really too fussed because obviously I'm not American. But when you see a sport that used to be based so much on passion, now based on money, it's actually heartbreaking. If you put a no money fight on this, I'm telling you, Mike Tyson rocks his shit. I can't believe.
These theories aren't just whispers in the dark, they're everywhere. Footage is being dissected, analyzed frame by frame as fans try to find the truth behind the fight. Was it rigged, or was Tyson simply outclassed by a younger, more agile opponent? The lack of clear answers has only fueled the speculation. What's certain is this: the allegations, whether true or not, have left a mark on the fight's legacy. People expected a clash of titans, but instead, they got a mystery that may never be fully solved. And for both Tyson and Paul, the shadow of these rumors isn't going away anytime soon. It didn't take long after the fight for the internet to explode with accusations that the bout was rigged. Videos dissecting every move, slow motion replays, and comparisons to training footage all painted a picture that many fans couldn't ignore. But Jake Paul, he wasn't having it. Paul, known for his outspoken personality, dismissed the rigging rumors almost immediately. His stance was clear. The critics didn't understand boxing, and their opinions were baseless. He pointed out that the fight wasn't about Tyson holding back, but about Paul's skills as a fighter. He claimed he outclassed Tyson in every way, making it impossible for the boxing legend to unleash the powerful punches fans were expecting.
They're literally just finding a reason to hate on any part of it. So it's not just as simple as like, oh, I didn't like that. And they got like sick ass undercard fights, the walkouts, the whole thing was entertaining.
That's true.
There's a fucking pigeon.
There was a pigeon. Richard was there. Some people were disappointed in Mike's performance. They thought Mike would give more Because you see these videos of him going crazy hard on those pads, doing that shit.
Yep, and people are like, oh, it's rigged because look at him on the pads, but he didn't do this in the fight. Because someone is fucking punching back, you dumb fucks. Like, people don't realize my power.
That is true.
And my jab and my speed and my ability and my footwork to get out of the way of those punches. So then all of a sudden he's throwing at literally air. He can't land those punches on him.
Jake also pointed to his preparation. He emphasized that his strategy in the ring focused on movement, defense, and wearing Tyson down over time. By keeping the fight at his pace and avoiding risky exchanges, Paul maintained control. It wasn't about Tyson being weaker or slower. It was about Paul playing to his strengths. These comments were divisive. Some fans agreed, applauding Jake for his tactical approach. Others weren't convinced. For them, the fight didn't feel authentic, regardless of what Jake said. And while Paul's confidence hasn't wavered, the rigging rumors have refused to fade away. For every person praising his performance, another is accusing him of being part of a scripted event designed for entertainment rather than competition. Then there's Mike Tyson, a name synonymous with raw power and ferocity in the ring. Fans came into this fight expecting a glimpse of the old Tyson, a fighter who dominated the heavyweight division for years. But what they got was different, and the reactions were mixed. Statistically, Tyson's performance was unusual. Over 8 rounds, he threw fewer than 100 punches. Most of those punches came in the first 2 rounds, and as the fight wore on, his output dwindled. For a fighter who once overwhelmed opponents with relentless aggression, this change in style raised eyebrows.
That's in one category. Compartmentalize that. If you know, he is young in the game, so I understand a level of that, right? Like, you gotta work your way up. I'm not knocking all the guys he fought up to this point, but at a certain point, bro, like if you really about this, like Jake Paul calls himself the face of boxing, I can't give you that. You're a good salesman, right. You're a good marketer, and you sell tickets. Selling tickets and having interest when you fight is one box that you check if you want to be the face of boxing. It's a few other boxes you ain't checked yet, and one of them boxes is, man, you got to fight somebody and you got to prove yourself. You don't get to sidestep that.
Some fans believe Tyson entered the fight with different priorities. Maybe it wasn't about winning, but about proving he could still compete. Or perhaps, as the conspiracy theories suggest, he intentionally toned down his performance for the sake of the event's entertainment value. Whatever the case, Tyson's actions left room for interpretation, and that ambiguity hasn't helped quiet the rigging rumors. Still, there's no denying the respect Tyson earned just for showing up, competing at his age against an opponent half his age, and managing to avoid a knockout for 8 rounds is no small achievement. Even those skeptical of his motives couldn't help but acknowledge the physical and mental toughness required to pull that off. The reactions from the boxing world reflect this split opinion. On one hand, you have legends and analysts applauding Tyson for stepping back into the ring and giving fans a chance to see him one last time. On the other, you have those who see the fight as a cash grab, questioning whether Tyson compromised his legacy for a massive payday. For Jake Paul, the aftermath of the fight has been a mix of validation and controversy. For Mike Tyson, it's been a reminder of his greatness, but also a question of whether his legacy will be overshadowed by this one event. Together, they created a spectacle that's still being dissected, argued about, and remembered, just not always for the reasons they might have hoped.
First of all, my hat goes off to him for going 8 rounds with anybody.
Absolutely.
Period. You understand me? I mean, a 58-year-old going 8 rounds, I don't care if they're 2 minutes, 3 minutes. A 58-year-old going 8 rounds is out of this world, number one. Number two, there are things that probably he could have done a little bit more of, or a little bit better had he really been trying to do that. But at the same time, what people don't understand is Jake does have a really good straight right hand and a good overhand right and a good right uppercut. So when you try to throw your uppercut, your right uppercut, being that you're 58 years old, you really expose yourself to be hit with his right hand or his overhand right, which are the best 2 punches he got. So in my defense for Mike, why would I go out there throwing uppercuts at 58 years old when I know that that's just going to open me up for a shot that he may catch me with and end my night? Humiliation.
The fight may be over, but the conversations aren't. Fans remain split, the rigging allegations persist, and both fighters are moving forward in different directions. Whether this event will be remembered as a historic clash or a contentious spectacle remains to be seen. One thing's for sure, it's left a lasting impression, for better or worse. As the rigging rumors gained traction, Nakisa Badarian, Jake Paul's manager, wasted no time addressing the controversy. He immediately dismissed the allegations, calling them baseless baseless and insulting to both fighters. In his view, the idea that a fight of this magnitude could be staged was absurd. Badarian argued that Jake Paul and Mike Tyson were professionals who took the match seriously, dedicating months to preparation. Badarian pointed out that staging a fight like this would require complicity from multiple parties, including trainers, referees, and even regulators. He emphasized the logistical and ethical impossibility of such a scenario. According to him, the fight wasn't just about entertainment, it was a legitimate boxing match that adhered to the sport's rules and standards. For him, the critics weren't just questioning Jake and Tyson, they were questioning the integrity of boxing itself.
The only thing that bothers me is the continued kind of narrative and people saying the fight was rigged. I saw something from Michael Irwin. Irwin, was
the football player.
He was on the broadcast. He actually sat there with Jerry Jones. I saw something this week where he's like, oh yeah, I saw the contract and Mike couldn't throw an uppercut. Like, are you, I'm concerned that there's a CTE problem there for Michael Irwin, because how would you see the contract to begin with that, you know, Mike Tyson couldn't throw an uppercut? I mean, it's beyond lunacy and the realm of like just reality of life. This was a regulated professional bout by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, the Texas Athletic Commission. And we were partners with Netflix, the biggest media company in the world, who's a public company. And for anyone to suggest that this was in any way a rigged fight, they're either dumb or they're looking for attention. And I get it, like putting up posts that, proof it was.
Despite his firm stance, skepticism remained. Fans continued to analyze the fight with a magnifying glass, sharing clips they believed showed Mike Tyson holding back punches. Some argued that Tyson's performance was uncharacteristic of his legendary fighting style, while others saw it as a natural consequence of age and strategy. Badarian dismissed these claims as noise, asserting that Jake's superior boxing skills dictated the pace of the fight, making it harder for Tyson to shine. For Badarian, the focus was clear: celebrate the fight for what it was. He urged fans to appreciate the effort and skill displayed by both fighters rather than getting lost in conspiracy theories. But even as he defended the fight's legitimacy, the shadow of doubt lingered. Rigging accusations, once introduced, are hard to shake, and for many fans, the fight felt more like a spectacle than a true competition. While the rigging debate continues, the futures of both fighters are headed in very different directions. For Mike Tyson, the fight marked the end of an era. Shortly after the bout, Tyson announced his retirement from boxing, stating that he would no longer step into the ring. At nearly 60 years old, the decision wasn't surprising. Tyson had nothing left to prove. His legacy as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time remains untouchable, even with the controversy surrounding his final fight.
Was that fight a black eye on boxing?
Yes.
How could you say that?
Of course it is. Number one, it was sanctioned. Let's not forget this.
8 2-minute rounds.
This fight was sanctioned.
Yeah.
How was that? How was Mike even passed the health check to get that fight sanctioned? Now, how can you sanction a 27-year-old fit, strong guy that can punch with both hands? How are you sanctioning that against a guy that's not fought really for 20 years? I mean, if we discount the Roy Jones, that's a black eye on boxing. The fact that someone can be shown that paperwork and say, yeah, let's sign that one, that's fine, we're good to go.
Yeah.
That's
and I know there were some states who said thanks but no thanks.
There you go. So that's a black eye on the sport already. And then Jake fighting Mike's a black eye. Like, why is Jake? I love Jake, by the way. Jake, you know, I'm a big fan of yours, Jake. And I've said this 110 times. I like what Jake's doing for the sport. I love what he's doing for Amanda Serrano and all the other fighters on the MVP promotions. Just fight someone your age.
Several potential opponents have already emerged, eager to take on Paul. Two names stand out: Daniel Dubois and Artur Beterbiev. Both are seasoned fighters with reputations for power and skill. A fight with either of them would be a significant step up for Paul, who has faced criticism for avoiding top-tier competition. But taking on such opponents isn't just about proving his skills, it's also about earning respect in the boxing world. If Jake chooses to face Dubois or Beterbiev, it could reshape his career. A win against a legitimate contender would silence many of his critics and elevate his status as a serious boxer. However, a loss could expose his limits and derail the momentum he's built. It's a high-risk, high-reward scenario that Paul seems willing to embrace. You enjoyed? Leave a like and subscribe. More videos are on screen now.